Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Whirlpool refrigerator water tube assembly. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the water tube assemblies. The main reason to be changing out the water tube assembly is if the tube itself cracked and it's leaking water. With the doors open, we can reach down and remove the grill. It's held in by a clip on each end. All you have to do is snap it off, and then we can set it aside. Now that we have the grill out of the way, we have to disconnect the water line. We're going to put a small towel down. At this point, you should already have the water turned off. We have to disconnect this 1/4 inch compression fitting. And you can take the nut off because we're going to have to reuse it on the new line. So this is the line that we have to feed back up through the door. So we're going to close the freezer door and take the hinge off so we can do that. The hole in the hinge that the water line goes through is pretty tight, so we may not be able to feed it up there with some tape and stuff on it. So we're going to go ahead and support the door with a block of wood, and then we're going to take the hinge off so we can get the water line through. To get the hinge off, we have to remove these 3 5/16 bolts. You can use a socket with a little extension. Once you get the bolts out, we can pull the hinge out and slide it off the water line. Now that we have the hinge out of the way, you can see that the water line has a little bit more play, but we're also going to take out this cam assembly that's going to open up the full hole in the door and give us as much room as possible to get the new water line. It's held in by the same size bolt, 5/16. There's only one of them on this. Once you have it out, you can take a small flathead screwdriver, and it's going to be a little tight to get it around this, but stick the screwdriver in here, just kind of pry it down a little bit, then you can push in on it. You just got to get it past this door stop right here. Once you have it out, you can slide it off the water line. Okay, Whirlpool decided that they were going to make this hose run through the door that you can't take apart to change out. So we have to take a piece of string, attach it to the end of the water line, pull it up through the door, and then use the string to pull the new hose back into place. So whatever you do, you can't make this too thick, otherwise it may not fit up through the hole, but you need to secure it so it doesn't come off halfway through the door. Alright, so here's your dispenser, here's your water actuator lever, and right up on the lever is a 1/4 inch screw that holds the water fitting into place. Now that we have the screw out, we can reach up in here and gently start pulling the water line out. Now that we have the water line all the way through, the line came out and it didn't come off or break, we can cut this off the old tube and put it onto the new tube. Here's the old water tube assembly next to the new water tube assemblies. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. They give you 2 options depending upon your model number. All you have to do is pick the one that matches yours. Ours is the clear one, so we're going to go with the clear tip with the black hose. This particular one comes with a metal bracket that's held in by a screw in a different spot, but it's done just the same way. Now that we're ready to install the new water line, we're going to attach it to our twine again the same way we did the lower one. You want to lay it on there, get some good tape, make sure it's not going to come off. We're putting the twine onto the new nozzle. We want to make sure that the string is on there long enough so it's not going to come off. And we want to wrap enough tape on there So it's not going to come loose, but yet not too thick so it won't fit through the holes. So when you're putting the water line in, it has to go back behind the water arm into this hole and then down through the door. So what we have to do is kind of bend the tube up into the dispenser, create a loop, and then we can pull it down with the string. Once you get the water tube started in the hole, you don't just want to shove it in from the top because the water line will bunch up in the door. So you want to pull on the twine at the bottom and slowly push the water line as you pull the twine. That way you'll keep tension on it, and hopefully the water line will go straight to the hole down at the door rather than go off course and get stuck somewhere in the door. So to put this in, we want to push it straight back against the wall. You can see there's a little cutout right here. And then you can hold it and then take your other hand and push it up and make a loop. So it's going down to the hole. And then you can grab your twine from the bottom and slowly feed it down through the door. This little black grommet might cause some tension on your tape. If you made it a little bit too big, you're going to have to take it out, make your tape smaller. Now that we have it past that, we can slowly pull on the lower twine. You don't want to pull too hard from the bottom, push too much from the top. Just keep it a nice balance. Slowly feed it in so we don't break the line or get jammed up. All right, so I got the tube at the bottom of the door right now. Here's our end of it. So we can just grab and pull on this now. We don't have to worry about going too fast or breaking the string. So we can just get these last few inches up and through. Don't pull super tight. Just set your fitting in place on the arm up top, and so it's ready to put the screw on. And then this little excess is for you to reconnect the water line. All right, we can put the 1/4-inch screw that held in the water line on the bottom end of the new tube. We can take off the tape and remove the string. Once we have that off, we can put everything else back together. We have the cam that goes back up inside the door, so we can slide that over the water line. And you may need a hammer to get this seated. Sometimes they don't go up in all the way, so you can just take a little hammer, tap it into place until it's flush with your doorstop. Remember, the bolt goes up into the cam to hold it into place. We can put the hinge back on, put the water line on, coming just like it would come on here, from the top to the bottom. This has to go up inside the door, and then we can put the screws back in. All right, once you have the hinge on, we can remove the wood block. Then we can open up the doors and reconnect the water line. To reconnect the compression fitting, we want to put the fitting over the new line, push it down so a little bit sticks out, and then we can reattach it to the union. As you tighten it down, should automatically compress the water line and seal it. Of course, when you turn the water back on, you want to make sure you check for leaks, just in case. You can stick this back up underneath here, and then we can put the grill back on. The grill clips into clips on each end. All you have to do is line them up and snap them into place. Now that we're done installing the part, we can close the refrigerator door and the freezer door. Now that you're finished repairing your refrigerator, you can plug it back in, make sure it starts to cool off, and goes back to its normal temperature. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.